Today, we are exploring the transformative power of social media. Now, we're looking at how these social medias are the new digital oil wells. Now, let's imagine a world where the most valuable resources is not crude oil, but the attention of billions of people all over the world. A world where the new oil wells aren't drilled into the earth, but they are tapped into the minds of consumers. Now, that's all about social media, and we're going to welcome, or rather, I am welcoming you into the age of social media. We have seen the rise of giants like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, companies that have amassed unprecedented wealth by extracting value from the digital footprints the consumers leave behind. Now, it's a staggering transformation, but one that has reshaped industries. It has also altered consumer behavior and even influenced global politics. For example, we've heard how musicians and actors are quite influential in the decisions that are being made politically, economically, all over the world. So think about it now. These platforms are the modern day marketplaces. They are where brands connect with customers, where influencers build empires, and where ideas spread like wildfire. So in the 21st century, data has become the lifeblood of business, and social media platforms are the drilling rigs that extract this valuable resource. With billions of users worldwide, platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now called X, and TikTok have become indispensable for businesses, entrepreneurs, and individuals seeking to tap into the digital economy. So this morning, we will discuss how social media platforms are revolutionizing business models, strategies for maximizing the return on investment for social media, the future of digital advertising and sponsored content, and last but not least, best practices for navigating social media's ever-changing landscape. Now, in all of this, I've mentioned the advantages, the benefits of using social media, what the users stand to gain, what you stand to gain as a business person. But with great power comes great responsibility. Now, the question is, how can we harness the potential of social media without falling prey to its pitfalls? And how can we also ensure that these digital oil wells are managed ethically, sustainably, for the benefit of all? So these are the questions we'll be discussing with our guest who is in the studio with us, and I will introduce him after the break. So join us for this ever-changing discussion on social media platforms after the break. Thank you for watching the program. Now, I said we're going to discuss this morning social media platforms as the new digital oil wells. Now, to have this discussion with us, we have a guest in the studio, and his name is Inegben Stanley. Now, Inegben Stanley is he's the product management and marketing manager for Smart Safe Technologies and Smart Learning UK. He's also a leading product and value innovation expert, and he's also executing go-to-market strategies, optimizing user acquisition while running AI pages as a creator. He also has numerous certifications as an expert in this industry in terms of technologies, smart technologies, and also in product management, and he has been recognized globally for his achievements. So welcome to Market Insights, Inegben Stanley.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Couldn't believe that was me. Well, wow, that feels amazing, though.
Yes. Well, you know, with all this, everything you have achieved so far, definitely it will always be called that. I mean, with all these responsibilities, yeah, you definitely get all your credits given to you at the right time.
Yeah.
Okay, so but discussing social media platforms as the new digital oil wells, and that's something that, I mean, we've seen it literally everywhere, every day. we see most of the things that are trending always starts from social media before it gets to the mainstream media most of the time. And a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, and industry captains are tapping into this great platform with all its advantages. But first of all, looking at social media now, how can individuals, or let me just start with how this social media, how did it rise? Was it something that started with the advent of the 21st century, or it started just recently with how Gen Zs have been using the different social media platforms as a means to create revenue?
Okay, so first off, I would want to start from the Gen Z part, right?
Okay.
I'm a Gen Z, so with all humility, I like to rep my gang. But at the same time, right, I wouldn't want to take the credit away from the millennials who started this, right? And it's not a Gen Z thing. We just had the way of catapulting the whole stuff, right? Like they say, we are like the noisy neighbors, so we know how to make things go viral. And I guess we are more united in our own sets, but it started with the millennials. And how it started, I think it all falls back to, I'll take it back to like 2006, 2009, Facebook era, right? And of course, most people were still in high school or university then, and affording a mobile phone was not like this. You couldn't just buy phones everywhere then, right? So, yeah, so you could pour Facebook, somebody has Facebook, you could open an account in this or our phone. You could always lend the phone when you're in school. That is how I have studied it started, right? But for the market part, it's quite different. I get it when it hits the business space, well, that with the data sitting on Facebook alone, according to statistics, it has been proven that Facebook has almost 1,000 data entry points to every single Americans.
Is it that just for the American users or global users?
When they are doing research, most times they focus on the American market. For they to have it in that American market, definitely it's global, right? If you've seen The Great Hack, more of the analysis is there. So that is one aspect of it. So it's a sequence, but at the same time, yeah, it started 2009 aspect growing upward.
Okay. So this, like you have mentioned, it started with the millennials first of all before it moved to the next generation. That's the Gen Z users. Okay, now that being said, now looking at the trend now, how social media been able to influence businesses generally? Like we see these days, most companies have social media accounts that they want to communicate with consumers. So how have these social media platforms been able to influence businesses?
Okay, so I'll take it back to a concept in marketing called the buyer persona, right? But most folks who don't know this, but I'm sure very advanced digital marketers and social media experts know this. So every customer, take for example, you are a customer, you are 4 persons in one. Of course, I know you have spirit, body, and soul, but let's move down. We're not talking about spirit, body, and soul now. Now you are 4 persons in one. There is the buyer, there is the decision maker, there is the user, and there is the person with the money. So when they are doing traditional marketing or traditional on-field marketing, you storm the field and stuff, you are likely going to meet only the user and not the person who can influence. But on social media, you can like create campaigns, content, and even sequences to target these 4 persons. So a husband sees jewelry on Instagram. He's not going to wear earrings, right? But he sees it and he remembers that, my babe likes wine color. And he screenshots, babe, how would this look on you? And of course, he replies back and say, okay, this looks good. Now the influencer who is going to also use it agrees to it. Now, because he does not need to stay at one spot before this feedback comes back, then she cannot buy it. So of course, that's had a very huge impact in marketing for businesses.
Okay, so these products are being advertised on this platform, and like you mentioned, these 4 users, the buyer, the decision maker, and the user, and the person with the money all see. Well, like you mentioned, exactly. It's all in one person, embodied in one person, and they see it and they say, oh, this will look good, or I will need this for this purpose or that purpose. So exactly. I believe it all has to do with advertising. So therefore, I want to get your thoughts on this now. You will say social media has revolutionized the way advertising is done these days?
Of course, evidently. Not just revolutionized, I think it changed the whole game, right? So prior to social media, you would depend on just radio, TV stations, billboards, right?
And we had newspapers also.
Yeah, we had newspapers and all of those, right? But with social media, one, cost efficiency. So any business who wants to scale operations but minimize operating expenses wants to thrive on social media. And there are two ways you can do it: organically and paid. So if you have enough funding, probably backed by venture capital, or you have stacked funds, or you're already profitable as a business, then you can pour enough funding into your paid ads. But if you don't have enough funding, you want to get experts who are good with social media SEOs, right? They want to optimize for your stuff. Take, for example, I think there was this company who did a campaign sometimes in 2022 by listing 50 most influential people in Africa on social media, and they listed the top 50 creators. Now, when I analyzed the campaign, this was what they did. They didn't spend a dime to advertise by just giving a social media award to top 50 influencers. Now, these guys will repost. So if an average of, if one influencer has had an average follow of 100K times 50, that's how many? That's about 5 million, right? About 5 million audience. Now, if out of this 5 million audience, about 50% sees this campaign, that's about 2.5 million views organically by just strategically leveraging, of course, what do they call it now? Egoistic marketing. So every influencer wants to come out and say, I am one of the top 50 rated in Africa. So they will repost, their users will see, then that's free marketing for the brand. So unlike when brands will have to stack up millions of naira before they can push out to the views.
Okay, this is a very key thing that you have used right now, especially with this period. This is the end of the year, and a lot of people want to start doing different ceremonies, different events to round up the year. So definitely, if you're going to be, for example, I don't want to mention if you're going to be doing an award for musicians or for actors, and then you say, oh, this person has been nominated in this category.
Exactly.
It's most likely that the person will see it, and then his followers will now take it up on social media. So yes, this is the power of social media. Now, I want to ask you this. Now, what are the primary economic benefits and challenges associated with the growth of social media platforms?
Okay, I love this question actually. So 3 things. First, it's the monetization, right? For both the country itself and the individuals. So this is what I mean. I will use myself as a case study, right? I use LinkedIn more, and I know how much I make from LinkedIn, right? Just charging clients how to use LinkedIn, right? That's the creator economy now, right? And because of that, I get to get paid. Then, of course, the country itself gets to money flows, right? So household incomes increases, standard of living increases with this income rise using social media. And that's because as a creator, you have 3 ways of earning. Either the platform pays you once you have a big following. That's if you want to use the large influencer game plan. If you want to use the platform influencer, which means you understand how it works, you have a certain level of result, but now you want to teach others. So understanding the platforms gets you paid. Then the third one is niche-based or micro influencers, where you just understand an industry. You are not necessarily a big influencer, but an industry, and you establish a relevant authority there, you make your money there. So that's income, that's one. 2, for business-wise, we discussed one of it, advertising, right? Of course, you can create a product, but distribution is very important. So social media has served as a distribution channel, which has solved logistics, as it were, for brands and for corporate organization. Then the last one is innovation.
Why do you say it has solved logistics?
Take, for example, now, if you want to send a package from here down to Abeokuta, would you need to leave here and go to the bus station if you have your social media very active?
Well, you tell us, you're the expert in this
Of
field.
course, you don't need to. I could just randomly go to my Instagram and just search logistics. It will use the algorithm, filter around the ones that are close to me, and I will just pop up, hey, what's your price? They come pick up, they go deliver. So that's a value chain, right? Then the last one is innovation. So people who want to use social media wants to know how to grow social media. Business wants to know how to scale on social media. Now, innovators, people like me, we've understood social media. There are people building analytics, right? I'm building something called LAS, LinkedIn as a Service, is a platform, right? So all of these tools, these are innovations. Now, creators pay these platforms to use their tools. Now, this platform make money, they pay tax to the government, and this keeps on circling around. It's like the social media is creating money for creators. Creators is helping businesses thrive. Now, businesses are paying tax, then government is receiving money. Now, government can of course, pour money back into the economy. So it's
So
a
the
360
circle,
degree.
yes,
Yeah,
it
the
just
money
goes
flows.
around
Exactly.
them. Okay. Well, before I go further, yes, you said LinkedIn as a service, LAS. Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so there's statistics that shows as at 2021, 2022, LinkedIn then had about 300 million users. And out of that 300 million users, right now they have about 1 billion active monthly users, right? Till date, LinkedIn himself, according to a report I read, says only about 10 to 30% know how to actually use LinkedIn. Now, out of this 10 to 20%, most of them are business and experts who might not necessarily need what other users are looking for. So most users of LinkedIn want to professionally network, they want jobs, they want to skill and stuff. But these folks don't know how to use LinkedIn. So I and my team, like people like me who have mastered LinkedIn as it were, right? We push out something called LinkedIn as a service. So take, for example, you're a creator, you're a professional who wants to probably migrate to the Canada or UK, whatever markets, and you're highly skilled in a particular niche with over 3 to 5 years experience. What people do when you offer LinkedIn as a service, just what I do too, is I charge you a certain fee, I'll train you how to revamp everything, and I'll teach you the tools to use with LinkedIn. There are tools to use with it. So that is LinkedIn as a service.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, this is something I'm quite sure lots of viewers will definitely take note of. Now, looking at the way social media platforms have really increased everywhere, we see businesses, especially having social media accounts. Now, how has the rise of social media impacted the traditional media industries like the newspapers, the radio, and television?
Okay. Before I answer that question, I'm answering the question, but I just want you to give me some feedbacks. Some of the top news agencies, both Nigeria, Africa, globally, do they now have thriving social media accounts?
We see every single one of them
Exactly.
has a thriving, including SOUQ News Television.
Exactly, including newspapers. Now, the cost of producing newspaper to serve 200 million Nigerians and the cost of producing just one content that will serve 200 million Nigerians, which one is much more cost effective?
You tell us.
So it's the content, right? So it is much more cost effective for them while they still make money. They have the audience. So take, for example, now I want to distribute my service via SOUQ News, right? And SOUQ News has a large number of following on TikTok and YouTube. And you guys charge me, let's say 10 million naira to distribute this. What it will cost SOUQ News is to power the data, energy, turn on screens, create content, and distribute. Unlike when you have to now go and buy resources, produce, print, and distribute, logistics is there. So of course, it helped them. At the same time, it helped them reduce operational cost. It helped them maximize revenue. I'm sure investors are happy. If we actually check the numbers, investors are happy.
Well, you could say that, yes, maybe if you could say they could be happy, but we do know that we have a certain generation of people all over the world, yes, that would still prefer to pick up a newspaper and get to see information that they need. And if they want to listen for other announcements, they might need to turn on their radios or their TV sets. So we can't totally push them aside. We still need them. So how have you been, I want to ask you as an expert on the social media platform, have you been able to bridge this gap in terms of getting the boomers and Generation X to welcome the advantages of social media platforms?
Okay, perfect. So there are, just like you call them boomers, right? And in marketing, I like to categorize them as senior citizen and the Gen Z and the millennials, right? So senior citizens are from 60 above. Now these folks some of them prefer traditional news, newspaper and stuff, right? But don't also forget there's a concept of new adopters, which means whatever is raining in town, these old folks don't want to get left out like, because I say me, you can't do this one night, they tell me say,
let's keep it in plain English.
Exactly. Please. So they are like trying to, now they don't want their children or their helps or to start, then they want to start learning this stuff. But what we've tried to do in the social space is simple. We try to break these barriers by simply trying to also create physical activities, right? You will see a lot of social media platforms doing recreational activities, sponsoring these same senior citizens to come for games and stuff. So bridging the gap while also introducing this technology to them. So that's one of the major ways these senior citizens have been brought into the market. I think they use Facebook more. The senior citizen, you would find them on Facebook. You want to try that market, that's Facebook.
Okay. Okay, that being said now, what's ethical considerations surrounding the collection and use of data on social media platforms? What ethical considerations have been put in place?
So data policy is quite a sensitive one when it comes to the social space. The reason is this: there are a lot of data entry points which data are mined from various social media platforms. You would see Facebook is always in court. TikTok joined that trend. The reason is every nation has their policy, right? There's governance, regulation, and compliance, right? There's also data policies, GDPR rules, and all of those kind of stuff. But then again, it's totally dependent on. I'll take it back to the user. If what you don't want to be out there, don't try to ever post it. The internet never forgives. That's one thing about the internet you should know. So if you post something online, you might have taken it down, but there's just some people who thrive on screenshotting things down to it. You just go on Twitter now and say you never said something you said before. Just give it 30 minutes. Somebody will bring it up. Some way, somehow, to dig it up. So what you don't want out there, keep it away. Two is, in as much as people hate to admit, our devices are tracked. No matter how techy you think you may be, they have a way of getting this data entry. But why do you think if you go to a mall and you get back home without even searching the mall on your phone, before a week runs out, you get an advert from that brand? Those things are there. So you just have the way to just cut out the excess usage of the device. For the data part, you can't really excessively regulate it, because every point you try to regulate, there's always another open point. So it's not something we can totally control.
Okay, part of the reason I asked this question is because, people have to fill forms online these days. Most of the things we do nowadays, you can do them online. If you're buying, if you're selling, if you're looking for how to move about from point A to point B, if you're creating an account for Uber or for any other transportation medium that you want to use, if you're trying to get your goods delivered to you, most of the information is put in online, and we don't know how. Yes, we know there is an algorithm that manages all these things, and we know companies will tell you, oh yes, your data is safe with us. But for that one individual, that consumer, now how can they protect themselves or himself or herself as they are online, in terms of how to manage the information they put out there when they are going about their daily businesses?
Okay, so majorly most platforms use what we call basic PIN, which is basic personal identifiable informations, right? And these are your first name, last name, email, and stuff, right? So platforms that now demand more data from you, again, it's a matter of choice. So do you want to supply this data? Do they give the choice? Some platforms will tell you, I'll accept these terms and conditions. They won't even allow you click no. You will just say only yes there. If you are not clicking yes, uninstall the software, right? So in those situations, you have no control of submitting your data or not. I think that's one of the advantage of people who like to use the iPhone brand. They will tell you, if brands want to track you, iPhone will ask you, do you want this app to track your mobile activities? You can say no. Now, other devices might not give you that advantage. So to yourself, what you want to do is, are there options to that social media app or stuff that lets you operate without supplying this data? And most social medias would only request first name, last name, email, phone number. It is you who willingly submits the rest. That's the basic truth, actually. You want to elegance. Instagram nice, the gram life, right? So everybody wants to show off that I have this, I have that. In the point of doing those are data points. And they tie back to the data tree. Then they form your personality. Then digital advertisers like us pick up, there's what called big data. We take it out. Now we use it to map out your buyer personnel, your psychological buying triggers, your behavioral buying triggers, your current activities, all of those things. So what you don't want there again, don't put it there.
Okay, that's a very key phrase to think of. Yes, what you don't want online, do not put it there. Yes, well said from Inegben Stanley. Now, I'm looking at individuals and their passions. Now, how can individuals monetize their passions and build lucrative careers on social media platforms?
Okay, so this part of this, let me break this down to 3 categories. So we are all familiar with influencers, which is what people think as the only way to make money off social media. I'm not necessarily an influencer on social media, but I make money off social media. So I'll break it down to 3 categories. We have the influencer economy, which is the major influencers We have the micro influencers, which is about from 1K to like 50K. I still categorize them as micro influencers. Then 50K above or 100K above are major influencers. Now we have the niche based influencers or platform influencers. Now, if you are a creator, you are a skilled person, you're a professional, right? So let me give you a background story. I think I was having a conversation before the interview started, and I was like, I had carryover in my final year in Tech when I just knew I could not be an accountant, as it were, and I focused on social media and SEO. Now I realized that in Nigeria, as it were, the Nigerian market, a lot of folks are on LinkedIn, but they don't know how to use LinkedIn. So as a creator, I started creating content teaching how to use platforms, LinkedIn, how to generate keyword research and all those kind of stuff. Now, because of that focus, people started coming for me. There is a slide I have here where I had a screenshot of conversations. I made more than my monthly salary as a product manager in 2 weeks on LinkedIn, in LinkedIn DM, without like in LinkedIn DM. So that's people paying me to learn what I know about LinkedIn. Now that is niche. As a micro creator who wants to go into entertainment, it's quite competitive. So what you want to do is you want to understand how to craft out the blue ocean. There's a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. Now, the problem with most folks is that you want to just come into this space without asking questions for those who are actually making the money from this space. Let them open it up to you. Because if you want to run straight to the major influencer category, you will spend a lot of time, actually, right? But if you want to come in from the micro niche, create a blue ocean, craft out a brand for yourself. A brand is your identity. Some people are familiar with. Brain Jota just didn't come out like this. He crafted a brand. OGB recently come out like this. He crafted a gram around acting as a cultist, which he was not, right? And those kind of stuff. So you need to just create that niche and stuff, so break out your market.
This is part of the blue ocean strategy when you decide to create a small brand before you decide to go big globally. Okay, because this whole thing, you see lots of individuals trying their hands on it, but it takes a while, and everybody wants to see that there are people who are making a lot of money as influencers, as you have also mentioned. Okay, now has the democratization of social media led to the democratization of wealth, not just in Nigeria, but globally?
Sincerely, I would say yes. Not entirely, but at least yes. Take for example, me, I told you I dropped out after I had my carryover and everything, right? Or in a normal setting, I'm supposed to be disadvantaged. You grab. So let's say I was in Nigeria economy, you start with 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 salary as an ND dropout. But right now, I can't say how much I make. But on LinkedIn alone, how much I make on LinkedIn alone, even my family cannot believe it.
Well, let's not get into those details.
Exactly. So it democratized that earning aspect. So you could just wake up one morning and be consistent. Stay, as far as you're offering value, value is key. My mentor will say money follows value, value does not follow money. So as far as you're offering value, you are consistent, you create your niche. Of course, wealth get distributed and it gets recycled again.
Okay, yes, I like the fact that you said wealth does get distributed. As you know, in Nigeria, there are currently, according to statistics, over 36.7 million social media users in Nigeria, and everybody is trying their hands on different things. Everybody wants to tap into this digital oil well, and like you mentioned, there's a lot of ways people can go about doing these things. Now, in terms of educating people more to avoid the pitfalls of the social media, how can we harness the in terms of education, or how can we harness the potentials of social media without people falling victims or falling prey to the pitfalls of it?
Okay, so I would use my personal experience. One of the key things I did to actually harness social media was I had to go and study books of those who had done marketing well. Talk of the likes of Seth Godin and the likes, right? So if you want to actually scale on social media, especially if you're in Nigeria, I don't think you can skip a book called Sell Like Crazy by Sabri Subi. That book helped a lot of creators out there. They know, I know, right? There are other books too, a lot of books too. As somebody who wants to get into this space, get the knowledge first. Don't just come in, get the knowledge first. Test out an account, then use the account to now, whatever works on that account, I treat it or try to test it around 3 other accounts and see which one goes further first for you. Then you have a repeatable process. So first you learned, now you try to create a process to growth. Now you've seen growth. What you now want to do is you want to automate growth.
Okay, that's very key. But we're still going to discuss further with you on how people can avoid the pitfalls. And like you mentioned, which is very key, a lot of reading, a lot of education, a lot of enlightenment
Yeah.
gets into all of this. Now, let's take a break now. When we return, we're going to discuss further with our guests on how we can tap into all the resources and the wealth of social media platforms. So join us after the break. Welcome back. Thank you for watching the program, and we're still discussing social media platforms as the new digital oil wells with our guest in the studio, Inegben Stanley, and he has been able to share his wealth of knowledge on the benefits of social media and also how to avoid the pitfalls of these social media platforms. So thank you so much for sharing your insights into this discussion. Now, you also mentioned the use of influencers and currently, we've seen a very big trend. We've seen the rise of influencer economy. And this is something that is trending not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. Now, how has the rise of influencer economy enabled youths to smile to the bank?
Okay, so let's take it from this angle of starting from the company themselves who pay the influencers, then the platforms. So two ways major influencers smile to the bank: brand collaboration and platform monetization. So of course, every major influencer out there know that they make enough to live large, right? And this is why. So when a brand wants to come out and they have enough marketing budget for their go-to-market strategy, one of the key things they look at working with are influencers, and they want to check out these metrics: total number of followers, active engagements, and the type of markets that engage with them more often and stuff. So because of this, you could see an influencer could charge you 5 to 6 million naira just to help you post something for a couple of days or a couple of months.
I would also say it depends on who that's influenced.
Yeah, exactly. It depends totally, exactly. So that is there. Those are for the large influencers. Now, micro influencers could charge you hundreds of thousands, right? And depending. So that's one way. Two is platform monetization. Take, for example, TikTok. If you cross a certain amount of metrics on TikTok, you can monetize via giftings, ads, in-ads display. Same thing as Facebook, in-ads display and stuff. YouTube, in-ads display. There are a lot of options to monetize as an influencer. You could even create a community as an influencer, right? I know a lady who does that well. In fact, there was a conference held recently, I think 2 months ago, where I attended, and she came around and she was discussing how community is helping her sponsor a lot of stuff. I was like, wow. So that's why even myself, I'm launching a community next year. I cannot lose out of that market too.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, the reason I asked this question is because I'm currently on social media. We've seen the birth of influencer economy, and this has allowed individuals with significant following earnings have substantial amounts, like you also mentioned, from content creation, from product endorsements, and also affiliate marketing. And it's something that everybody's trying to get involved with. And in the midst of all of this, we've seen genuine influencers that have been able to market products. We've also seen influencers that are not what they claim to be, and then they actually do scam people. And these are part of the pitfalls I talked about. So how do consumers and business owners who want to use these people to leverage their businesses, how can they avoid falling victim to those who are not who they claim to be on the internet?
So globally, I think everybody's afraid of prison, right? So one of the key things I advise businesses to do is try to tie it down to a legal contract and try to put implications there. So if possible, if the person is not a renowned influencer yet, what you might want to do is get the person to supply enough evidence, right? And of course, get a contract to be signed. What is not legally binding, you can't take it to court if it's not legally binding, right? He could fight his way through, she could fight her way through, as it were. So legal aspect is very important. Then again, you want to try to vouch who has worked with this influencer, what were the metrics, what are the results like. If possible, you might not necessarily want to reach out as a brand. So this is one of the hacks I also teach businesses. Hire a non-worker who is not working in your business to reach out to the business that has worked with that brand to give you feedback, right? Then you get to get first-hand feedback of how that influencer is. Then you can decide to proceed or not. Then the last one could be, might not be really effective, but you might just want to have a sit down with the person. Sometimes when you look people into the eyeballs to eyeballs and you're like throwing them some hard conversations, they like, when they stutter and they're like, you just know that, okay, yeah, you are there, but you are not it. So that's one aspect. I call it the FBI strategy. Sit them down, empty table, nothing there, just stare for like 2 to 3 minutes. Like, okay, so we want to use you, and because of you've already killed the energy, now they don't know how to pick it up from. So yeah, you could use one of those strategies too.
Okay, yes, because you've already revealed that. So yes, people watching know this strategy very well. Okay, now looking at this whole the social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, have these platforms democratized the creation and distribution of content?
Perfect. Standard budget to shoot videos runs into millions. Even if you want to use DSLRs and stuff, because to even purchase this equipment is quite expensive.
What equipment are you referring to?
Video equipment, audio, gadget, and all of those kind of stuff.
But these days, you see people using their phones to create content.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to.
Okay.
Standard procedure costs a lot. But right now, with my phone, I might not even need to buy a mic. With my phone alone, I could just put the camera down, record, do 1 or 2 editing, and post. So I don't really need to hire an editor. I don't need to rent gadgets. I just create content on the go, right? Content on the go is what a lot of creators do, vloggers do, right? That's the type of market. So it has democratized that niche because of how easy it is now to create content. So it is now dependent on how easy it is for you to come up with content ideas.
Okay. So when you look at like somebody, for example, let's say a consumer, or rather a business owner who perhaps this man or woman is into, maybe he or she is a mechanic and business is not moving as fast as he or she would want, and then he decides, oh, maybe I can tap into this social media that everybody's talking about. But how will such a person go about creating content that would drive the right clients or consumers to his page and then patronize his business?
Okay, so if you want to do that, I advise you first to go back to the market. You want to reach the market, now go back to the market. What I mean is this: some people call this about persona, some call it customer avatar, some call it customer mapping, whatever they want to call it, right? Everybody on social media is not your market. So who is your market? Now there is the term SAM and SOUM thing: total available market, service available market, service obtainable market, right? Sometimes I tell you to trash that or pause it and just go back to the market. So who are your market? Let's take a quick case study, right? You are a fashion business owner who sells baby clothes and you want to reach out to the market. I am not your market. If I'm not married, I am still not your market. Even if I have a girlfriend, I'm still not your market. It's somebody who is either a mother or a husband to a mother, who is a father to a toddler. That's your market, right? Now you want to identify, where do these people hang out? What do they do more online? So you get all of these data, you've mapped out your customer avatar. Now what content will resonate with them? But Ashagi's content is not content for babies, right? You cannot say you want to go and buy comedy and give to baby to wear now. It's not possible. So who are the creators they are following? What are the type of content they are creating? Go and get it. Now use all of this to shape your content calendar. You first test out 3 markets, 3 content types actually: visuals, that's graphics, carousels, just normal writings, and videos. So which one is educating the mothers more? I did a test project in 2022 and I just shot a TikTok video for that market and it went viral, and I was like, oh, okay, nice. I took it down because I usually didn't have I was just testing how it was. So you could just do those 3, whichever one works for you, double down on that one, keep the other 2 as alternatives, because again, content is dynamic. Videos could work today and carousels trend in your industry tomorrow, but right now it's the video market. So get to understand what type of video editing pattern too works for them. So for each niche, for each market, there's a video editing pattern for it. So you want to study the top video editors creating such stuff, and of course you are good to go.
Okay. So there is like you have just mentioned right now, there's a whole lot of education involved in using social media, because these days people should not get the idea that it's something very simple. Okay, yes, get your phone, record, and you're good to go. So now, what are the resources that are being extracted from social media platforms, and how are they valued?
Okay, so number one resource be extracted is data. That's the number one and the most important. So I remember when I still used to be I was focusing more on just running paid ads for brands before I transitioned into combining that with product management, right? Brands will pay me to target a specific niche for them. And how we do it is there are tools to get data. Now you sync these tools with platforms like social media, like Facebook. There are tools you can use with Facebook that brings out behaviors of people on Facebook. Now we use those tools to now retarget those behaviors. Everybody who falls under those behavior categories gets to see those campaigns, right? So data is one. Two, it's content ideas. So even media brands now go to social media to take content ideas. Content creators on social media take content ideas from fellow creators, right? Three, of course, information and statistics. If you use TikTok, you will know that TikTok is the fastest rising growing social media app right now on planet Earth. So people go there, source for information.
Can you just pause on your thoughts for a moment now? Why do you say TikTok is the fastest on planet Earth? What's the reason?
Data is there, right? This is the reason. So prior to TikTok, the major mainstream video creation platform was YouTube. Now it's landscape. Then most of the time is the ones who are like pro are the ones who succeed there. TikTok, even if you are using a cracked camera, as far as you can hack the algorithm well and post, and so there's the 200 bucks. If your videos is stuck in the 200 bucks, what TikTok does is first pushing
200 bucks.
Yeah, so TikTok first push your videos to the first 200 people, not whether you have followers or not. You push it to the first 200 people. Now, seeing the length of engagement, numbers of likes and numbers of comments after the first 200 views, and how the graphs goes will not determine if it will push it further. So that's been automated in that system. So that is easier for them to scale. So because of that easy to scale ability that TikTok gives users, that is why they are the fastest. They were fast to reach 1 billion, right? They came and they stormed. Right now, I know Instagram has tried to like iterate and build in some of the features into Instagram and stuff, but TikTok still owns that market. YouTube had to go and do YouTube Shorts because TikTok was using that particular market to rise on a large scale. So yeah, so that's why I said TikTok is the fastest rising when it comes to the content creation.
Okay, and then still on the resources, apart from data that everybody has been tapping into to make money. Okay, now how can we ensure that the sustainability of social media platforms as a long-term economic resource?
So first thing is policy, right? People don't want to talk about this, but policy matters a lot. So are there government policies that are favorable to the social media space? So take, for example, now, a nation could come up with a policy and say, okay, we want to restrict the social media. And if it has a large usage globally, and that particular country is struggling economically, and you restrict the usage of that platform, it will tell on the business. An average vendor here in a country can reach a global user. Why? Because if the content goes viral, everybody globally can see that content, they could place order. You now need to look for a way to ship to those aspects. So policy matters a lot. Policy that favors this thing. Regulations of the type of content that goes out there because children now you will find children of 12, 13, 10 carrying smart tabs, smartphones, and believe me, these guys know how to browse even more than you think. They know how to. So we need to now start to regulate those stuff to make sure that like parental guidance, right? One, policies to regulate those things so that children don't get exposed to nudity at a young age, as it were, so you can guide their sanity. Yeah. So a lot of these things is important to ensure the sustainability. Then the final thing is, might sound awkward, but I think it's trying to create an enabling environment for creators. Creators are the bloodline of social medias. The reason why you go on social media is because apart from you want to interact with someone, you have somebody you love to watch or see his or her content. Now, if these creators are not like encouraged by platforms themselves, this time around platforms and nations, if they are not encouraged, these guys might move. So that's basically it. So I guess that's just the things that need to be put in place.
Yes, a lot of policy regulation and parental guidance for the younger generation. Very key aspects. Thank you for that, Zinegben Stanley. Now, what role should the government and regulatory bodies play in overseeing the development and operation of these social media platforms?
Again, it falls back to favorable policy. That's the number one rule. Two is, so two aspects, right? One, you want to create environment for these social media giants to operate in your country. Very important. Why is this important? There are some nations who are like taking out of, take for example, integrations of payments to some platforms. Some nations are excluded. Why? It could be policy, it could be regulatory issues, it could be anything. So government needs to put all of these things in place, because at the end of the day, if these social media are thriving because of creators in their countries are thriving, it increases household income. Now there is increase in spending capacity. Now the economic grows. So when a nation earns in a foreign currency, standard universal currency is dollar, right? When a nation whose traditional currency is not dollars, creators are bringing in dollars to the economy, it's helping the GDP of the economy, right? And that helps to grow the economy as it were. So if government sees it from this aspect of, okay, these guys are actually a sector of our economy, they are not just online, they are a sector, and treat it as a sector, create things that enables that sector to thrive and grow, of course, that would help the landscape, the entire social media landscape.
Okay, now before we round up the program now, what are the emerging trends and technologies that may reshape the social media landscape in the coming years?
AI. So let me give you a quick metric, right?
AI, yeah, I'm quite sure people want to know what AI means.
Okay, so AI is artificial intelligence, right? So this is more like automating machines to do what humans would do normally. And one of the most popular AI that trended from 2022 ending into right now is ChatGPT, which is making work very easy for a lot of creators, as it were. But it's not just those kind of AIs, there'll be visual AIs. So I think there's a brand, of course, I can't mention the name, right? Creating a video avatar AI. So they could like take this video and like reverse engineer we as AI, and interviews will be holding, but it's AI. Right, so on the long run, I think I was having a discussion with a creator on LinkedIn who has hundreds of thousands of followers. He has a startup in Europe, right? Yesterday, when he uploaded something he made with AI, video, content, an interview series too, but it was for corporate space. And I said, if you turn this to a series, you would move from just being an AI brand and into being an AI media brand. So infuse AI into your creation, your media and stuff. I did a test project, which was recently taken down because I used a logo that was not mine. I was wrong there, right? And that page, because I powered it with AI, got 200,000 growth, 200,000 active users in the space of 3 months. It was on LinkedIn. I have a screenshot of it on the slide I created. It's there, right? 7 days at 93,000 because of AI. This AI is rising. So if you tap into right now, Google did the research. By 2030, I think the African economy for AI creator would enter, I think, about $13 to $30 billion. So it is now left to how do you want to tap into this economy that AI is going to drive for the social media space.
Okay, and just lastly, before we go, now the global influencer marketing industry is projected to reach by the year 2025, is projected to reach $43.8 billion. Now, do you think the youths are fully leveraging these social media platforms if this is the projection by 2025?
I wouldn't say we are fully leveraging it. Reason is, in as much as, yes, there are influencers out there, if you actually calculate the population of influencers making money with social media, the users making money is relatively low to the population of the youth globally or in the nation, as it were. So reason is, again, misinformation, miseducation, misuse, mismanagement of the space. So I think the youth need to be taught how to leverage and use these social media to now leverage into these projections. Of course, the money will be made, but it now depends if you play in the game or you just watch and clap.
Thank you very much, Inegben Stanley, for joining us on Market Insights as we discuss social media platforms as the new digital oil well. It's been great discussing this with you and for sharing your insights. And like you also mentioned, there's a lot of education that is needed to take advantage of the benefits of social media, as also tap into the resources that it offers everyone. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning, and we look forward to having you again on Market Insights. Now let's take a look at the money markets this morning, Wednesday, 16th October. We're looking at the Central Bank of Nigeria rate and the parallel markets rate. So we're looking at dollars, the pound sterling, and the euro. So at the CBN rate, the dollar is currently selling for 1,629 naira to $1. At the parallel market rate, it is selling for 1,700 naira to $1. For the pound sterling, the CBN rate is 2,140 naira to £1 sterling. At the parallel market, it's selling for 2,265 naira to £1 sterling. And for the euro, it's selling at 1,797 naira to €1. That's the CBN rate. For the parallel market rate, it's 1,860 naira to €1. And the parallel market figures are higher than the Central Bank of Nigeria figures. So those are our money market figures this morning. Many thanks for watching the program Market Insights as we discuss the social media platforms as the new digital oil wells with our guest Inegben Stanley, and he offered lots of insights into this discussion and the key things that stand out. Yes, there are lots of advantages, but with a lot of education and enlightenment, we can definitely benefit from all social media has to offer us. Many thanks for watching the program. I am your host, Lovina Emma. Do stay tuned to the news updates on SOUQ News Television.